Good evening and welcome again to another edition of Crosstalk. And today we want to focus on something that's eating this nation. Very slowly, but surely, it's eating at the fabric of what is core to this nation, the young people. We are talking alcohol and drugs. And we are asking ourselves, where is this spread coming from? We're seeing worrying tendencies in different parts of this country. We're seeing worrying prevalences. We're seeing worrying statistics. What's this thing all about? And how can we tackle it? I have a very able panel today, and I want to introduce Jacob Aduda, who is the Program Public Education and Advocacy Officer at NACADA. Karibu.
Asante.
And we also have Irene Minor, who is a community mobilizer and human rights defender, primarily working in Dandora, but I'm sure very familiar with, what goes on in our estates and what goes on in mtaani, as we call them. Karibuni.
Asante sana.
Jacob, set us off. What's with all this? Why are we drinking? And then we are saying cost of living, panda, watu wako kwa bar. We are still in the bar. What's going on?
I can say there are so many factors that make people to get into alcohol. For your information, consumption of alcohol is the largest single consumption of psychoactive substances or drugs, as we may call them, in the country and even globally. It's a trend that is not only local but even international. And we can say that according to the statistics we did a survey in the year 2022, and we launched the survey this year. The results of the survey, or the survey report. And what we can see is that 11.8% of Kenyans are current users or consumers of alcohol as a beverage. So you find that when we talk of current users, we talk of people who frequent the bar or who frequently consume alcohol.
Did you do an age?
We did an age. The cohort was between 15 and 65 years.
You're talking about 15 years?
Yes.
But does it drop lower? Does it drop lower?
It has dropped lower. The age of debut of alcohol, when we did a survey for both primary and secondary schools, for secondary schools we did in 2016, and for primary schools we did in 2018. The age of debut we found as low as 11 years. 11 years. Yeah, they're already consuming.
People are drinking
That's
alcohol.
The median, yeah. But the lowest age that was captured was 4 years.
4 years.
Yes. So those are facts we have to live with, and those are realities on the ground. As a matter of fact, all kinds of drugs, our children start consuming them. Most cases, the risk factors were in the home, in the family.
The family introduces you to drugs.
The environment.
The family environment.
And the family is part of the environment. So it's not that we are talking of something that mtoto ameenda shuleni, they are going to learn how to take drugs there. No. As a matter of fact, the school is a controlled environment. So you find that because of the controls, the rules against consumption of drugs, most people have discovered that, our survey discovered that the family is not a protective factor anymore. It is a risk factor because they learn taking drugs right in the family. Home, in the family.
Irene, yes. What's going on in mtaani?
Mtaani, statistics ziko poa venye amesema. Like, you'll find so many young people are into drugs, especially bang. Mtaa ni bangi sana na pombe, but bangi kidogo ime take lead sana mtaani. What I will say is, if I compare statistics za maybe za huku jujuu, ndio pia watu wa matajiri wanakunywa pombe, you get, but mimi nikiangalia statistics za mtaani, ghetto, informal settlements, the leading factor yenye inafanya hawa toi ama it's mental health, ama also poverty, you get. Unapata kama kuna mtoto mwenye atapewa pombe na mama yake ndio alale. Unapata kuna mtoto atabutishwa bangi ndio alale.
You are saying people can starve so much until the only reason they can sleep is to drink alcohol.
Yes, ubleki. Like you can't.
And you give that to your child.
Yes, so you sleep.
Wow.
And you wake up ndio uamke kesho to tackle the next day.
And this is a child as old as or as young as how old?
4, 3, even younger. Unapata, unajua mtoto mdogo hata mtoto mdogo wa miezi akiconsume bang analala. Unaona? Me have seen where wamama will puliza bang on their children.
So that they can sleep.
So that they can sleep.
Because the hunger makes them cry.
You have nothing to feed these children. So poverty and also poverty is what is leading us to mental health illnesses in ghetto. Unapata kuna mbaba ameenda kazi hajapata do and maybe wife is hostile. So the only thing ataduni atapita pale bar akunywe ndio akifika home. Sasa jiski amebleki you meet
so
he
will not hear anything that the wife
even
is saying.
if you're making noise, he won't hear a thing because that is what life has reduced us to. And we try and tackle these things in the community, but when you're speaking to the younger generation, especially the teenage boys and also girls, there are also girls who do drugs also. You get to understand that it's not because they want to. It's a coping mechanism because you find there are some who come from violent homes. There are some who come from very, very poor backgrounds. So it's a survival mechanism.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Yes.
We have control measures. We have NACADA, for instance.
Yeah.
What is NACADA doing about it? Or what is NACADA supposed to be doing about it?
Before we go there, I think I want to pick it from where she has.
Okay, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Then I tackle what are we doing?
Okay.
I love the fact what she has said. At the end of the day, off camera we talked about there must be something chasing somebody or chasing a man to behave the way they do. There's a proverb that says that when a frog is jumping on broad daylight, something must be chasing it.
You look for the cause of the jumping.
Yeah, I love the fact that she has mentioned poverty and also issues of mental health. But the mental health issues are broad, including issues of addiction. Those are all mental health issues. But I love what she has said of they are using it to cope. Actually, scientifically we would say they are using it as self-medication. Mzee anaenda kulewa, ndio akirudi nyumbani asiulizwe.
And even if he is asked, he can't hear anything.
Any man would love to come back home with a piece of meat or flour. Flour for the children and for the wife or for the family. If they fail to meet that parental obligation, then they must cope with that absence of meeting the parental obligation either by drinking. So we can sum this all as what causes people to take psychoactive substances or drugs. So she has mentioned poverty, that's one of it. But also, we have to remember, there are also children of rich people who take this stuff. I know you are now aware that we even have Mira that is bottled or packaged as Jabba juice.
And we have shisha.
True.
And shisha. And shisha is not, it's largely not for poor people because a session of shisha will cost you backwards of 2,000 or depending on which club you are in this city. But even shisha is now, it has gone to the villages.
So we're saying rich end and poor end,
they are all equal. The addiction or drug use respects no social boundaries.
What is that? Why is that? Because one would say, if you go to the settlements, the informal settlements, poverty is driving it.
Yes.
What drives it in the rich end?
One thing we have to realize is that they're using this for self-medication, as a coping mechanism. They want to cope. People, the rich and the poor, there are things they are fighting. There must be something that you are fighting to overcome, or to level it, or to overcome it. So for them, they see that as the easiest avenue of handling the pressures of life that they are facing.
Anytime Kenyans see alcohol,
Especially,
they look for Nakada because they believe you people should be fixing this problem.
yeah.
Okay.
Especially if people get injured or die. They say, and we have an institution here called Nakada. What are they doing?
Tell us what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing. Almost.
We are the agency in the government
Yes.
that coordinates the campaign against alcohol and drug abuse in the country. The way we do it, to simplify, we do it through public education and advocacy. What has brought me here is basically one of the number one ways we are trying to address this. We are campaigners. We tell people of the effects about it.
So you can't arrest anyone?
We can't. By law, because the government, Kenyans are also litigious. They know the laws.
Yes.
If I'm not gazetted by the minister in charge to go and do such stuff as arresting, then I cannot. We can only do this through multi-agency cooperation. So when we go out to the field, if we want to arrest, we go with the police officer or the public health officers who are mandated by the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, or otherwise known as Mutudo laws.
Yes.
So that they are able to arrest on our behalf, because these people are breaking the law.
So Nakada,
Yeah.
tell us a bit about public campaign, because
So
now
this
you're confusing
public
us.
education and
You're
advocacy,
telling us you can't arrest
we
these
can't.
guys.
I think we need to lay that clearly to Kenyans. Nakada does not have the powers to arrest.
Why?
The
We
law
expect
states
you
that.
to.
We work, this thing, if you look at the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act 2010,
Yes.
otherwise what Kenyans refer to as the Mutudo laws,
Yes.
it gave the powers to enforce to police officers and also public health officers, or
Okay.
any other person that is gazetted by the minister in charge, because we are under the Ministry of Interior.
Yes.
Yeah. So what happens, I've mentioned public education and advocacy.
Yes.
Now, this is the first point. Then there's the second point of we do formulation of laws and policies in regard to control of alcohol and other drugs in the country. And again, we also do surveys or research that is touching on drug abuse in the country, just like the research. Now, under public education and advocacy, we have very many activities that aim at controlling and mitigating against alcohol and drug abuse. For example, we work with the national government and even the county governments in formulation or sensitization of members of the public towards addressing the issues of alcohol and drug abuse. We capacity build both the private sector and the public. We do sensitizations. We talk about
in short,
Yeah.
we should not expect anything more than that from Nakada.
beyond the ones I've mentioned. Nakada does not arrest.
Okay, you work in the community. There has been a narrative, whether true or not, that those who brew changa and those who sell bangi and those who sell drugs usually are in a relationship with policemen. So the police come, they take their thing, and they go.
That is very true. That is very, 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 very true. There was a time, I think in 2020, if I'm not wrong, ama 2019, kulikuwa na ile kampeni ya kumwaga changa mtaa. But you know there are places where police can't go because unakujanga kuchukua hapo hongo every single day. If I pay you, how can you come to destroy my business? You see,
because you have become part of my income.
Yes, we say he who feeds you controls you. If you're getting like 200 shillings from me per day, will you come to destroy where you get that 200 shillings? So at a, like mtaa, you will find these police vehicles. They're not even scared. They're using the police vehicles in police uniforms, going to local bars, going to local changa brewers.
And not to arrest.
No. They're
collecting
their... Yes, the barmaid will come and collect and give them their dues according to what they call them. I have heard you ask why the rich also indulge in alcohol and bang.
Correct.
You see, mental health, it cuts across. It cuts across every spectrum. Like it's in the rich, it's in the poor, it's in the middle class, it's everywhere. So you'll find there are also these rich kids. There are also things they suffer from mentally. So they're using it to run away from them or to cope from them. What we need to do is to actually look at the causes.
We're going to do that.
Yes.
We're going into a break now.
Yes.
Wow, we're hearing heavy stuff with all these alcohol, drugs, and the abuse thereof. We're going to take a break. You stay there. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This Sunday on Vision 2020.
Let's talk about God's intention of the church leadership.
Jesus himself says, let no one call you rabbi, you have one teacher. Let no one call you father, you have one father. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. The rock is Christ. If you ever want to deal with church politics, you've got to hand over the power over the congregation to Christ.
That's this Sunday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. We are talking about what is going on with all the alcohol. Why are we a drinking nation? What are the factors driving this drinking and drug consumption? Before we went to the break, Irene, you were telling us what we need to do. Let's start from there.
Yes, we need to have mitigating factors. Like, one, look at how to tackle mental health in all spectrums. The rich, the poor, the middle class. Tani, we do mentorship programs.
Children are taking alcohol.
Yes, they're taking alcohol, they're taking bang, they're
Bangi.
chewing miraa.
The whole
It's a different, it's a different scenario. Ukikam ghetto, you will find watoi wadogo kwa mabase, watoi wadogo wanajua mapedi. They know who peddles the drugs, they know
Drug
where
peddlers.
to buy, they know how much. Ukikuja ulize mtoi wa 6 years home, shash ni pesa ngapi? Anakwambia ni pesa ngapi? And it's not because they had, it's because they're using it.
What
It's
is
because
shash?
It's bang. It's a kind of bang.
It's a street name.
Yes, yes.
It's a brand of
Yes,
a brand of weed.
Yes,
Or a brand
yes.
of bangi. Cannabis sativa.
Yes, so we need to have these mentorship programs. Nakada, you need to bring your programs mtaa, zilete ghetto.
Localize.
Localize it.
Oh, yeah.
Trickle down this information to our young guys, to our young girls who also consume drugs. Let us look at what we can do, what humanly possible we can do, and leave the rest to God, because it is. Hata tukienda hosi, we say the doctors treat, God
And God
heals.
heals.
Yeah.
Yes, so let us find ways on how to mitigate easy issues. Kama ni poverty, can the government give watu jobs
Empowerment.
as they promised? Like sa ukienda, it's in the morning, utapata saa 3 wababa wa watu, mabwana za watu wamekaa kwa mawe. They have nothing to do.
No
so
engagement.
Yes, no engagement. So at the end of the day, akona mtoto ana expect akienda home mtoto anamuuliza baba umeleta nini? So what do? Atapatana na beshte hapo amwambie twende hivi. By the time anafika home ajielewi, amejikojolea. So
It's completely gone. And this is a young person in his 20s
it's
and
a young
30s.
person. Somebody who has a kid of 3 months, 2 years. Someone
has-
my age.
and has
Say
no-
ame
has-
waste life yake kabisa.
Wow.
Get.
Jacob, before we started the show,
Yes.
of course, I would allow you to respond to. You can start with the response, but before we started the show, you told you told me about statistics, and you've also told us in this show about statistics, how you came up with these statistics. I'm interested in those figures, and particularly how the religious factor plays into that.
Oh yeah, we did a survey on. We found that in our survey that people are having lifetime abstinence. In other words, they have never tasted alcohol, for example. And we got 42.5% of these people, of the sample that we had. We had a sample of over 3,000 in the whole country. Did not take alcohol, have never taken alcohol in that age cohort between 15 and 65.
Distribution
That's
in the
almost-
country?
So in the country, we find that those who abstained more especially if you look at it in the country, Nyanza and Western were leading in those who had abstained, while coastal region were having fewer people abstaining, lifetime abstinence. But then if you look at what persuaded them to abstain, there are various factors. That those because of their own values, those because of their own religion, those because of health reasons. Now, for the abstainers in Nairobi, we find that majority of them abstain from taking alcohol because of their knowledge about health effects of
Health
alcohol.
reasons.
While religion was only coming at 25% of these abstainers in Nairobi, which means that religion was not playing a big role in persuading them to avoid. But if you
In
go
other words,
to
the church is not influencing them in stopping.
the church and the their religion, maybe the church or the mosque, depending on which side of the divide you are in. So you find that in Northeastern, we had the largest number of abstainers, that's 72%. Now, of all these abstainers, a huge percentage of them is because of their religion.
In Northeastern.
In Northeastern.
So, put simply and plainly,
Yeah.
Northeastern is Muslim, predominantly Muslim.
Yes, and you know for them alcohol is haram. Now, I don't want to get into the debate as to whether they are more attached to their God or religion than Christians, but that one tells you something on their religious values and how they take their
It was the leading reason why they did not take alcohol.
That is it.
It was their religion.
Yes.
What about Nyanza and Western, which are
Nyanza and
predominantly
Western,
Christian?
it
What was the reason?
It was more about the health issues.
Where did religion factor?
Religion played a lesser role. It came in second after after health. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are serious questions for the church.
Yes.
Now, you work...
Or maybe to respond to what she...
Yes, go ahead.
Before I let it, before it escapes my mind, you know.
Yes. Go ahead, Jacob.
She said that we need to devote to the... I agree with her on that. There are various programs that we have tried to work out, either with the non-state actors and also the state actors. We are trying to, like in this financial year, we are trying to go to the youth out of school so that we see how we can sensitize them. Because in the schools already, we have a program of life skills that is aiming at reducing initiation to drug and substance use. It was in a pilot phase, but we are now expanding it to more and more schools because we discovered that if we build the capacity of the young people in drug demand reduction, one of them includes building their life skills. How can they make better choices?
How do you localize this in the Mtaa and in also these posh neighborhoods where people are, consuming this stuff?
Now, you know what we found out? We discovered, initially we used to go even do road shows and things like that. But scientifically, you might not quantify whether that one brings a change in people. So we decided to go for the long-term programs, which can be sustainable in the long run. So we have various programs that target the family. And in that family, in the family drug demand reduction programs, we are working closely with the churches. And as a matter of fact, we are going to train FBOs, reach out to FBOs, because most families congregate together under the banner of churches.
Okay.
Yeah. Then for schools, we are working, we developed something with the late Minister of Education, Professor. About 2 years ago, he launched a drug demand reduction guidelines, or guidelines on how the schools can manage issues of drug abuse. So if we don't catch you in the family setup, we are going to catch you through the school, because at one moment in your life, you must have passed through these different phases in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Irene,
Yes.
tell us whether the church is doing anything in Mtaani with regard to drugs, whether the church is being relevant or irrelevant. What's going on there?
The church is playing a very, very minute role in controlling drugs. One, if you want to help a drug-addicted person, you don't judge the person. That is what the church does. It judges you before it helps you.
Judges, tell me about judging.
It criminalizes
Is
you
it the
first.
messaging that we are preaching?
I've been to church once where an alcoholic entered, and you know the pastor alisimamisha mahubiri kwanza. Toa huyo mlevi, toa. Huku si kwa walevi. So what if that person actually came to get the guidance, the counseling, to talk to somebody on why?
Where was it taken? Anyway, it's all right, not your business.
And it's not the first time I've seen it. Even in crusades, they chase away the drunkards, they chase away. If you unakaa tu ni kama you're not sober, just like, this is not your thing.
The ushers remove you.
Instead of bringing them closer to know why. Because kuna watu, like unaona kama, I followed the person mwenye alifukuzwa church on that day to inquire why he was in church. He actually wanted to talk to somebody because he's not literally an alcoholic. It's the circumstances that he was in that drove him to alcoholism. And he wanted to have a listening ear. If the churches cannot give you that, then nobody will listen. And there are no programs from FBOs that are championing against drug abuse. So I don't think they're playing a role. First, make psychosocial support available and not so expensive. Unapata when kuna mtoi kwa familia akona drug abuse ama akona your addiction, it's so hard for them to go for rehab because some rehabs are very expensive, and if you cannot feed yourself, can you pay for a rehab? So na watu wengi their only route is Mathari. Mathari is also becoming occupied. Ni full sahi, like you can go with somebody and just urudi na yeye. So let us make psychosocial support and therapy more affordable for people. Let us have these conversations with our people. Mtaani, huku kwa maposh. Let us have, at least kwa maposh wako na hizo therapy sessions. Wanaweza enda hizo therapy sessions. But unapata, it's so hard because, kama mimi, it's so hard for me to go to a formal knee. But if we're having a conversation as, unaona kama hizo AA meetings, they are Alcohol Anonymous, it's effective because you're not alone. You're not victimizing yourself.
Do you have AA chapters in Mtaani?
No, we have we don't call them the AAs, we call them the mentorship programs. We do them.
Are they equivalent of AAs? Do they content-wise?
Yes. The people who actually come out as alcohol abusers, but because we are not specialized, we refer. If we can't refer, we refer. That is why we are saying we need to make therapy affordable, because if you refer somebody to Mathari alafu warudishwe, you look like somebody who does not know what they're doing. You get. So we also need somewhere we can refer to people who are addicted to these drugs. Nakada, unaona when you're bringing easy issues mta. Look at maybe relatable methods. Maybe sitting in a class kwa addict ni ngumu. Do something else. Look at effective ways that you can communicate with these people. Also, communicate with also the people who have not yet started using drugs, because it is the people who use drugs that lure these people who don't use drugs. It is the groupings, it is the social backgrounds. Mimi, I've never used drugs because my dad has never used drugs. Mimi sija grow up in an environment where I see people getting drunk. Like me, my dad will ask you, if you do this, you're like, who? Wewe ni kama nani? Unataka kukua kama nani? But unaona, also peer pressure does not work on me. It doesn't mean that it is also the same for other people. May have friends who are addicts, who use drugs, but I don't use them because I've seen what they do to people's lives. You get? So let us look for effective ways on how to combat. It's not a tomorrow thing. It's a work in progress. But let us begin. Let us begin somewhere. Yes.
Irene.
Yes.
Maina.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jacob Aduda. Thank you very much. You've both given us such useful insights.
Okay.
This is not a journey that can be undertaken in one day, and we are thankful for the insights. Viewers, lots of questions for parents and families. How come children are being introduced to alcohol and drugs in families? Some of them to sleep. What's going on? Lots of questions for state actors. what is going on with state actors? Lots of questions for the church and the mosque. We must fight this behemoth, we must fight this giant called alcohol and drug abuse. I pray that you will be part of the campaign and you'll be part of the solution. Thank you for watching Crosstalk, where we put the cross in the middle of the conversation and we put Jesus on the airwaves. God bless you. See you next week.